Welcome, 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 everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are in the world. We are delighted to have you here to have a stimulating discussion today about making meaningful business connections, which sometimes become friend connections as well, globally. Uh, Connections that will help you in your business that the belief is that we're stronger together than we are individually. So here we have an amazing group of people who do connect routinely with one another and looking to expand that. So please, as we go along, put your information in the chat box so that you can connect with other people. And we'll have a discussion about how we have networked with people all around the world and how those connections have been solidified, we'll say. So thank you for joining us, and it would be my pleasure to introduce Raphael. Raphael, please help me. Kartazinski, did I say that correctly? Kartazinski?
Bartoszyński, yeah, it's close. Yeah.
Close. I tried. I'm so sorry. I should have asked you that before. Please, would you introduce yourself to us?
Yeah, sure. Hi, my name is Rafael. I am serial entrepreneur, mentor, investor. I moved to US 6 years ago in 2019 when I was growing my first medtech company that I built back in Poland. Now I'm working on several projects. One of those projects is VisionariesNV. That's a community that is cooperating with Global Chamber, and we are helping companies from all over the world come to US, soft land in US, and go global, kind of from US as well. So like what I want to share is like during this discussion, like so you know my perspective. I was as my Polish company, I was doing global business. Like US was always on our kind of target to enter here, but it was always tricky. It took us some time to kind of figure it out. Now I'm kind of helping others do the same. So I have a kind of like global experience in networking, but also like a lot in context of the US and how it works differently from other countries because it works differently. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Raphael, for that, for sharing. Next, I would be happy to introduce Joanna. And Joanna, I will allow you to share your last name. I'm sorry, I don't want to mess it up. Please introduce yourself to us.
Thank you, Erika. And yes, I have very similar second name than Rafael, and it's Joanna Parzuchowska. And about me, I meet people. I run an event agency in Warsaw, Poland, and I also have a film studio, so I meet really a lot of people. And my other background is to be a coach and systemic constellation therapist. And it's also about how we behave between other people and systems. And being close to the subject of today's webinar, it's about how we build or destroy our relationships. And that's my passion, to look at it and to do something about it, that our relationships are really good and can go globally. So that's my passion. That's what I do.
Joanna, thank you so much for that. We're happy to have you. And Tyler Williams, please
I
tell
have a
us
little bit
about you.
easier last name. Uh, yeah, my name's Tyler Williams. I really started my career in business relationship building. I was a touring musician, and I found a company called Zappos.com in Las Vegas, where I got the opportunity to learn from that company and the culture there, that instead of work-life separation, of work-life integration. You spend a lot of time with the people that you work with, And so you should, and they do become your close friends a lot of times. You spend a lot of time with people at work, sometimes more than your own family and your own personal friends. But we actually had a entire part of the organization called Collect and Connect, and I got to be a part of that, where we would just go out and collect people and relationships and connect those relationships into our community. And I spent a lot of time. My official title was the Fungineer at Zappos, but we just made that up. So what I really believe in is I believe in events, programming, you know, and now I resigned from Zappos in 2022, and I work for the city of Las Vegas in the public sector now in business development. And so I've just made a career out of connecting people to opportunities and resources and trying to build a connected community that thrives. I've really dedicated a lot of my life to that, and I believe in it. And yeah, happy to have this discussion because it's a big passion of mine.
That's fantastic. I love the name Fungineer. Brilliant. That's really good.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for that, Tyler. And I will tell you a little bit of my background. Like Doug, I'm originally from the East Coast in the US, and I got a wild hair one day and decided to go west for something completely different and ended up in Phoenix. And then from there, I had an opportunity to move to Las Vegas, where I stayed for 20 years. And then I moved to Pacific Northwest, where I'm coming to you from today in Washington State, but close to Portland, Oregon. I'm not in Seattle in the north. And I've always had an international focus. And about 7 years ago, when I found out about Global Chamber, it just seemed to be such an amazing community to connect with other people and people to connect with me. There's just so much to learn from everyone. So I was happy to join. And like you have said, you make meaningful connections that become friends in the midst of doing business. I believe it's possible to do that. And as far as what I do, I started in residential real estate sales in Las Vegas in 2004 and quickly started changing what I was doing. I started working with commercial properties, and then I started working with international investors that were buying between Las Vegas and Phoenix. And since then, I'm licensed in real estate in 4 states. And most of my focus shifted during the pandemic to making meaningful connections. And I'll tell more about that later. But basically, I started working with colleagues globally on off-market property consulting. And I've added business consulting to that because for people who are looking, especially from overseas, to come to the US and acquire a business or set up a business, oftentimes there's a real estate component, but more than that, there's a need for being culturally fluent and helping them navigate a different system than perhaps where they have come from. So that's the short version of what I've done in my past, and I'm happy to be here with everybody. So with that said, Raphael, if I may call on you, please share with us how you have integrated yourself into growing your businesses and how you've networked, not just in Las Vegas, but with people globally. Would you care to share?
Mhm. So like I can start like from global perspective, right? Like as I mentioned, like I had this my first company is medical technology company from Poland, and like I remember like when we started to expand to go globally, First, it was difficult, right? Because you have to find those connections, you kind of have to find those people. But later, it became kind of a bit easier because I cracked the code in a sense that I started to contact this, because I was looking for distributor networks globally. So I contacted my competition distributors or like found products that are complementary to what we were making and contacted those distributors. So kind of like this way I found like a direct contact to people that may be interested in my products. So in that sense, it's kind of like I'll call it maybe cheating, because sometimes if you don't have that, you have to go to a country, like you have to go much more digging if you don't have this resource. But I had that, so this way I was able to acquire a lot of distributors, and also when going to trade shows, right, and networking on trade shows. That's kind of like how I cracked most of the world market. But the same tricks didn't work in the US. Completely didn't work. The same companies, like I identified companies, I contacted them, they didn't answer, never. And kind of like breakthrough came for us when we opened office in Miami in 2015 and kind of became local in a way, and also we set up an entity here. And I contacted the same companies as our office, as our US office, and suddenly they started to work with me, right? And suddenly we started kind of have those relations, but kind of the biggest change in my approach to networking in US, especially in US, because as I said, I don't know why it's in US is so specific. It was much easier for me in other countries, but here it was very specific because you have to have this kind of local recognition. You have to be kind of considered local, maybe like from patriotic point of view. I think it's similar in Germany too, right? If you want to do business in Germany, they are more open to doing business with local companies. And I know Polish companies that have just like German entities, and as German entities they are conducting business. But here, like was what changed, kind of the situation for me was when I came on a business mission from Poland to Nevada in 2019. I was here in Reno and Vegas, 1 week in Reno, one week in Vegas, and then I kind of experienced firsthand the ecosystem and the networking, how it works here in Nevada, in Las Vegas. I think it's like kind of a bit different than in other states and countries because it's very compact in a way. We have very short connections. If I don't know governor, I know somebody who can reach the governor. So I don't have to have like 6 connections. I can have 3 connections or 2 to kind of get to who I want. And from what I hear, it's not usual. But when being here, right, and experiencing that was kind of a game changer for me because I didn't have such connections in Miami. I just been there in and out. But here, like almost, I have these connections. I have all these new introductions. I can really do something about it. And that's why that's one of the reasons I decided to move here from Poland to kind of capitalize on the opportunity and on this kind of special way of networking that I noticed here. And now it's like how I explain this to others. Right? This is how it works here. It's better if you are here, but you can build those relations remotely using our ecosystem, our platform at Visionaries, or you joining this kind of events with Global Chamber. But this kind of gives you need to be kind of recognized, right? That's kind of what I would say is a kind of secret to networking, to effective networking, is when you are recognized. It's always better to be like a part of a group, part of an organization. Right? It's very important in US to be part of a chambers of organizations. It's not so important, for example, in Poland, but here it is. So that's kind of like I hope it kind of answers in a wide range the question of how I look my vision on networking. For me, networking is always difficult because I am introvert, right? So especially in this kind of situation, I know this kind of like cater group, right? When we know people, it's always easier, right? and a warm interest to direct you in a right way. That's also very important, and that's what I want to do with my organization, with VisionariesNV, to kind of welcome people into, like, drag them in, like pull you into ecosystem, the special ecosystem in Nevada and Las Vegas.
That's fantastic. Your assessment is correct. It is much different here as in connecting with people in other countries. I agree with you. The way the US operates is different, but Raphael makes a very good point for anyone, whether you're introverted or extroverted or whatever kind of business you have. I think putting yourself forward in the best way that's comfortable for you is key, because it can shorten that process of getting to where you need to go. I'm sure you would agree with that, Raphael. It's key,
Yeah,
right? It's strategic. And even in the US, with what Raphael has shared, I feel that if you're willing to have conversations and just boldly introduce yourself to people, or have someone who can advocate for you to be introduced to someone else, it goes a lot further. And people, for the most part, are generally willing to have that conversation, because we don't know what we don't know. And a lot of times people, I mean, we're all busy, there's a deluge of information for us, and a lot of times people have no idea what you do. They think they know what your business does, or what what you're involved in, but at the end of the day, they really are not aware, just because they haven't been able to take the time to find out. So great, thank you for those comments, Raphael. Joanna, would you share with us, how do you network, and what has been a key for you in growing your business and having more and more people know about what you offer? We can't hear you, I'm sorry.
Okay, thank you, Erika, and of course with pleasure. And I will share with you my little experience with acceleration programs. I was coordinating some international accelerating programs, and especially the one that I went with 20 of startups to the US, to Nevada. And the observation was that there was actually, no matter if the product was very, very well matched to the environment in the States or not, it was less about the product, it was more about the personality. And we have some issues with being connected, because of our history, our Polish history, because this is my background, and because of during the war and during the communist long time, speaking was not something that was helpful. You have to have some secrets, and it can be seen in the business relations today. And we are a fantastic nation, and we have great ideas, and we really have great business ideas and products and services, but we have problem with going to the market with it when it's not ready yet, when it's not perfect yet. And you Americans have a different experience, and you have an idea, and you check if it fits to the market or not. You can be agile, and it's fantastic. We wait. We have idea. We finish, and then we go to the market, and it's too late. So it's all about this personality. It's all about something that you must change in yourself, that you can speak, you can trust, you can learn from others, and you can go to the market with what you have, even if it's not perfect. And then you have results. And from my perspective and what I do, it's about making a decision that you want to do it, and then it determines if you are engaged or not, and then you have results. And I love connecting, and I believe in connections and talking and networks. And last week we registered here in Poland with hundreds of entrepreneurial women, our own Polish Women Chamber of Commerce. And it's fantastic that we can do some things like that, but it's really about what we have inside.
Well, congratulations on that. That's awesome to hear about the Chamber of Commerce there. That's wonderful. I
Thank
like
you.
that. And you bring up meaningful points. You really do. Um, and those are points that I would like to continue to address. We'll first hear Tyler. I would like for you to share your experience too. You're passionate about connecting and transitioning from one career to another and, diversifying your interests. Please share with us.
Yeah, I'm opposite of Raphael. I'm an extrovert, so I always have been. I grew up in a very, I would say, sheltered community in Anchorage, Alaska. And as a musician, I could not wait to get on the road. So at 19, I loaded up in a van with a bunch of my musician friends, traveled all over throughout Alaska, Canada, the US, and slept on couches and did anything that we needed to promote our music and our product. Musicians are entrepreneurs, and they're through music they connect. And I think everybody that I know has we connect through music in some capacity or are a fan of it. And so I just naturally always liked meeting new people. I liked going to new communities. I love to travel. I'm very extroverted, so meeting people fuels me. It's just how I'm wired. And so when I found myself, um, in 2011, in between music projects, a little bit of lost. My wife, she passed out Monster energy drinks. She was a Monster energy drink girl in Las Vegas, and she passed them out to this company Zappos. And when she knows me better than anybody, she said, there's this company. I think you could actually go get a normal job with this company, because this company is her exact words were, it's an adult daycare that I could drop you off at and feel comfortable that you would come home. And so I found this company, and I got lucky, really. And Zappos was immediately family, and immediately my coworkers were friends, and we hung out all the time. And we had a very good work-life integration. And Zappos recognized my skill set of connecting, being able to, um, you know, almost relate to anybody. I'm a personality that I kind of naturally move into, and I'm very genuinely curious about who somebody is before just what they do. Um, and like, who is the person? What makes them tick? Who, I genuinely try not to lead off with conversations with people of like, unless it's an official business call that we've set up, of just what the business opportunities are. But what is the person passionate about? What are they really good at? And then those two things, what can create value? So I call that like the triangle of like hitting the perfect mark of what somebody can do. Is what are they really passionate about? What are they really good at? And what can drive value inside of the community? So through just kind of luckily landing in a company that recognized that skill set, I got to run, the fungineering department, all the events, all the programming. which led to running marketing. And I left Zappos, heading up their marketing department, their employee experience department, the customer experience department, even to like wowing our shareholders. Doing things for Amazon purchased our company, and we really genuinely believe that a company can not only create a lot of value for customers, but can treat their employees right in the process, can make their shareholders happy in the process, and also their vendors. We would always we believe that you don't just have to abuse your vendors to make your employees happy, or vice versa. You can actually create value for everyone, and you can do it. You just have to really work hard at it. But I also want to share some of the drawbacks of 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 having really, really large networks is sometimes you don't have really deep connections. You have a lot of surface level connections. And I think this is happening a lot with just how much network effect we have with technology and social media and these video platforms. So I try to be really intentional about also having, because you can't have thousands of super deep connections. You can have a handful of them, and trying to make sure you nurture those really, really deep individual connections too, because that's where you draw a lot of the source energy from to be able to go out and network. So yeah, I feel like I got really lucky. I feel like I'm really blessed to have landed in the places that I am, and now to work in the public sector for the city of Las Vegas in building community. Um, I have to say, Las Vegas. I've always been a fan of this city, but it really turned on its superpower when COVID happened. What was an unfortunate event for the globe, really made Vegas this place of, it's the network city. And we've always joked that you don't ever have to visit anybody when you live in Las Vegas. Everybody comes here for some reason at some point of the year. So I have friends and colleagues and family members always coming to town, and so it's this wonderful city, and I see a lot of companies recognizing that, and so I see a lot of smart companies on the global scale essentially coming into Las Vegas and making it their showroom. So whatever product you have, it's now you can really work from anywhere. But this city is really optimized, and there is no better city that I can see that is good for showcasing or bringing a product to market in a decentralized, distributed world. So I get to go tell people, how they can now move their company into the future by anchoring it here, for a lot of different great reasons. So I have a really fun job, and I recognize that, and you know, and I can't say enough that sometimes you just get lucky, and you land in a place that teaches you things that you didn't know you didn't know.
You are so spot on. It's funny, I'll share with everybody. There's kind of this inside joke. If you're a local Las Vegan, the only time you go to the strip, to the casinos or anywhere for shows is when people come to visit, which happens to be a lot, like Tyler said, when you live in Las Vegas. So, and you have brought up very good points, Tyler, in terms of the manageability of connections, right? And just a side note, I had always heard that Zappos was just a dynamic, fun place to work. Really, I've heard that a lot. So let's talk a little bit about the points that have been shared. Also, I will I will agree with what has been shared here with everyone realistically. If you know me, you would probably be surprised to hear that before I used to be quite shy. Well, obviously, I'm not anymore. And the reason I'm not anymore is because I thirst for connections with people. I want to know. I want to know about people from different countries, different languages. I'm multilingual, and I want to know about different religions and foods and entertainment, everything. It's like Tyler was saying, it's a passion of mine. So when I began in real estate, it was very localized for me, but as Tyler described with the Las Vegas landscape, you can pretty much go into any place in Las Vegas and you will hear multiple languages being spoken. And that is fascinating and amazing in my opinion. So that's why I gravitated from a localized focus of my business to networking from outside. So because of the landscape in Las Vegas, it's obviously a warm climate, very few natural disasters happen there. It's business friendly, it's multicultural, you have nice things to do outside. So all of the reasons that people are attracted to Las Vegas from a business perspective, I was seeing that also. And when the Great Recession happened and people were focused on buying investment opportunity in Las Vegas because they saw the future potential with its proximity to California and people from cold weather climates were migrating to Nevada and Phoenix as well, it became clear that that was the time to start networking. So generally speaking, as has been shared with everyone here today, making the connections outside to attract to your business is such a key component. I will tell you, not to be disrespectful, but I will say in the United States, there's this tendency to, I'll give you an example. I get text messages all the time. Hey, interested in doing business with me? No name, no hello, no proper greeting. It's just, let's get down to it. And our culture in the US is a lot more informal than other cultures. And I will always ask, like, may I ask who this is first? You know, you can't have a connection and agree to do business because, like Tyler says, you're going to have thousands of contacts, but at the end of the day, is it going to support your business? Probably not. So I think adopting the process or the habits of relationship building, like many other countries have, is so key because from those smaller connections, that is going to facilitate you being able to expand the presence of your business, the transactions in your business, the connections too. And sometimes there's connections you don't even know will be profitable for you or just good connections to have for some other reason. So that's what's worked for me. Because I was in Las Vegas, like Tyler mentioned, during the pandemic, all of a sudden there was this different shift of focus in Las Vegas and an urgency to come up with innovative, creative ways to do business. And at that time, people started contacting me because I'm very serious about the relationships that I develop and maintaining them. And we don't have time in a day to maintain thousands, like Tyler mentioned. So having those key ones helps when you need more. So at that time, people were reaching out to me, just being there and looking for business opportunities as a result of the shift during, as the pandemic went on. And that is how I built an amazing network of people in different countries, pretty much most of the continents. There I have good connections there and solidifying those relationships. And I guess what I'm saying in short, I not relying on social media to make those connections is key. To have the time to have Zoom calls like this, face to face, real get to know you type conversations will save you so much time on the back end. I highly encourage it. I don't use social media to generate business. I use it to support my business after. But the first step that I think, and I would like to hear what others feel, is taking the time to do this. The investment in the time for a call, for a face-to-face, even if it's online, beats a text, email, or a post on social media. People just don't have the time to really focus in a social media way to get to know you and get to know what your business represents. So with that said, let's open the floor for discussions. Please, I would like people to chime in, share something, ask questions. Please feel free, don't be shy.
Go.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, can everyone hear me?
we can hear you. Hi.
Okay. Hi. Great to meet everyone. I'm down here in Orlando, Florida, and I've been hearing a lot about Las Vegas, and that is one place I haven't been to. Am I missing something?
Oh
You
man, you haven't
definitely
been to Las
are.
Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, you're actually a rare that you haven't been to Las Vegas. Definitely come visit us. There's a lot to do here. It's a fun city. And when you do, hit Raphael and myself up, and we will uh, show you a good time and off the strip. You know, I my favorite thing is most of the people who come and visit us in Las Vegas or flow through Las Vegas, maybe they're there for a convention and they're actually here for business. If they're here for pleasure, they're usually on the strip, as us locals call it. I always say, give me one day. I'll show you the city outside of the strip, and it'll be your favorite day. You
Well,
know,
I'm going to take you up on that.
yeah.
I agree, Tyler. Absolutely.
Yeah, I
What
mean
is the
the city is very good at you know, we were built. I like to say Vegas built itself up differently than most other cities. Most other cities are in strategic location, climates, ports, resources. We're out in the middle of the desert. We should not exist. But we do because a bunch of renegades and outlaws decided to build a city where they could have freedom to do what they wanted and also get divorced. So, you know, you have a city kind of built on a foundation that's very unique and different. But in today's world, with businesses and business needs changing so fast, I think there's a lot of fatigue in government over regulation, taxation. And so not only do you have a city that is very welcoming and business friendly when it comes to regulation, there's no corporate tax, there's no income tax. So outside of it being a tax haven, it's just a great place to build your go-to-market team and have the freedom to do what you want to do quickly as a business. Um, so it's the land of opportunity still. Regulation hasn't caught up to how fast the entrepreneurs are moving here, especially in the tech sector, which is exciting and getting the benefit of over regulation that's happening in other markets. For example, I just interviewed 25 high net worth individuals that are moving here from Washington. Sorry, Erica,
It's
because
okay.
Washington just implemented a capital gains tax. I think it's 8%. And so you have a lot of Boeing, you know, whether it's Boeing, Amazon, Microsoft, any of these companies where people took a lot of stock in lieu of salary, they're exiting that market and moving to Las Vegas. Uh, Really, it's kind of just between Vegas and Texas at this point of where these high net worth individuals are landing. So now they're in this city and they're hunting for stuff to put their capital towards. So you're what used to be in Las Vegas. So 10 years ago, when we were trying to, the press would coin it, we were trying to make Silicon Valley 2.0. We didn't have the labor pool that you could pull from, and we didn't have the capital here that was interested in investing. Both of those things have now changed because you don't have to have your labor pool in Las Vegas. you can hire anywhere, and your developers can live in Poland, and and your incorporation can live in Las Vegas. And what I'm asking companies to do, if you do decide to have your company here, is summit your employees here 2 to 4 times a year in lieu of what it would cost you. That's 20% of the cost of what it would cost you to have a physical office space or a physical campus. And our city can handle it. We have 660,000 hotel rooms. So we'll make sure your employees have a good time.
Well, I think we have Florida and Vegas, Nevada. They have something in common. I'm in the real estate business here, and in both of those states, it's either boom or bust, nothing in between in the real estate.
Oh yeah.
So,
If you're here in 2008, I hope
yeah.
you bought property.
Exactly, exactly.
Well, 2008 was so bad, nobody had any money.
That's true.
I had 5 offices, 50 agents here in Florida, different cities. I had to close the whole operation down in one day and go to Dubai for a year and then come back, restart. It was bad.
Yeah.
It was very
A
bad.
lot of
Thank
people
goodness we got
needed to
past that.
rebuild, especially those that were in the real estate business.
Absolutely. That gives opportunity for reinvention, though, for sure. Anita, I see you have a question, so we'll take your question and then I'm gonna have someone else introduce himself. Please, Anita.
I wanted to introduce myself. It wasn't so much a question, it was responding to the conversation. So let me just start off by introducing myself. Hello, everyone. I'm Anita Rodal, president of SVPI Services. I represent one of the world's largest non-bank foreign exchange companies, and we help importers, global companies, real estate investors save money and time on their cross-border payments. I also broker business and equipment loans as well as inventory finance. And on a completely different note, if you need help creating your 30-second elevator pitch, I can help you with that. Please visit aboutyourelevatorpitch.com or reach out to me directly. I do give a discount for Global Chamber members. Anita Rodal, SVPI Services. So I actually met Doug from the Global Chamber during the pandemic on a Zoom call, which was, the efforts of a global real estate organization trying to get people involved with their local and global chambers of commerce. And the Las Vegas Chamber of Commerce was one of those people on that webinar. So I guess this was 2020 or 2021. And I was moderating that for them. So doing stuff online or on the phone, I have clients that I haven't ever met, and they've been clients since the 90s when I've been working from home before it was fashionable and you had to make excuses as to why somebody hears your dog barking in the background. And we become such good friends. Like Erica, you and I are become very good friends. I have people that will say, you know what, my kid is doing a semester at UCLA or their semester abroad. Will you keep an eye on them? Can they come? Can they come talk to you? Like, it is a matter of building relationships, and from relationships, people do business with you. You're never out of mind, and it may take years before something comes of it, but it's, if you give and if you create friendships, it doesn't matter. You're not trying to get anything from it. You're creating something, and it always comes back to you. And that's what I've found.
I agree, Anita. Thank you so much for sharing that. The power of collaboration, I believe, is unparalleled. It just is. And like you said, many of us have engaged with one another. We've become friendly or good friends with one another, and we haven't met in person. And taking the time to have these conversations and voice to voice, eye to eye, even if that eye to eye is online, it doesn't matter, but that's the key part. I don't think that putting yourself out there statically, two-dimensionally, if you will, is as fruitful as making those one-on-one connections and getting to know people. At this time, Mark Cohen, Mr. Cohen, would you please introduce yourself?
Here we go. We're unmuted now. Can everybody hear me? Hi. How's
Hi.
everybody?
Good, thank you.
Wow, what a great call today. It's really been a blessing to watch everybody, with the synergy between the Global Chamber. I've been involved with I've known Doug for 10 years. We live in Scottsdale, like I said, originally from Philadelphia. But one of the things that we do, and I do, and my family has done, and I've done as a child, was we treat everybody the same and be it from a humble environment. And that approach has taken me to where I am today. My mother and my father, as growing up, we used to sit around the dinner table and talk. And most important, what is involved with somebody else's day and caring about somebody else. Being on this call today and seeing the connections, like Tyler doesn't know that I know about, Tony from what his boss was and what he established and what Tony did for Vegas. And I'm just listening in. And this is where the divine connection has always been in my life. I was able to sell my business to the Chinese government in the mid 80s. And I took that particular thing. My mother used to always say to me, if you could sell to the Chinese government, you could sell to anyone. So that set the plate for my future and how we can treat everybody the same. And that 40 years ago, what I did was what I do today is that I sit around and I ask people what they need, what they want, and how we can connect with people. It's all about, the eye-to-eye contact. It's all about treating people with compassion. So I have always fostered this platform and on a positive change for the world. So please reach out to me. I'm always open because I'm a strategic advisor in how we can implement decisions really more than anything else and care for somebody else's needs, not so much ourselves, and how we can all collaborate together in this trying time. So I'm available anytime and just reach out. I'm on LinkedIn.
Mark, thank you so much for saying that. That is a key piece, the care about others. It goes so much further than when we're just caring about ourselves. I would agree with you on that. And Global Chamber, let's be honest, is such a supportive community. Doug, thank you. And Cesar, thank you for just, creating and maintaining this platform for us to connect on such a holistic level, if you will. You know, Mark, you bring up a point. Before we had social media, this is how people did business. You really got to know a person and cared about how you can connect and provide a service or do business together, whatever the situation was. So it's so important not to lose that. And everyone who has shared their story today, told us about themselves, is proof positive of how that works. So please, I would like to continue. We still have some time.
Yes,
More questions. Yes,
may I
Rafael.
introduce myself? Yes,
Please.
I'm Rafael, like Rafael Kartaszyński, but my surname is probably even more difficult, and if you want to pronounce that properly, it will be tough. So the easiest way is to say Polish long name. That's the way to say it. That's how the people in UK they used to call me. But the reason I'm over here is because of Rafael, who has introduced us to this whole concept of thinking about Nevada as a place to set up the business. Because I'm coming actually from the software company. We do more than over half of our revenues are coming from US already for some time already. Yes. However, we don't have yet any location, any setup in US. So we do everything remotely from Poland. And it's very successful in these terms that they are very profitable businesses that we do with US companies over there. So we are considering to do some sort of a business in US, and Rafael was giving a very interesting introduction in our IT society in Poland, and the way he spoke about Nevada was really giving us a lot of thoughts about it. That's why we started to talk about it, and we are in a phase of kind of a feasibility study, whether this is, this is the right moment and we should really set up a company. The market is changing a lot for IT business. The AI is also changing a lot. So there are lots of things that we have to consider at the moment. So that's the reason it's great for me to hear what you are presenting over here. I must say that Las Vegas would be not on my top list of places to look for, although I don't know US almost at all. I've been to US only once, to Detroit, and that was just a week or something like that. So I don't know US at all. But Las Vegas is clearly, I know where the city is. I know what it's famous for, but it's probably not the place that I would think this is the place to start the business. Yeah. So I'm so curious, to hear your stories also from that location. So that's why I'm joining to get a little bit of a feeling. And we talked to Rafael quite a lot, but I'm pleased to be here and also discuss that with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Raphael, and we're pleased to have you. It's funny to hear you say that, because so many times when I would meet people and say that I lived in Las Vegas, people had this conception that we lived on the Strip. Anybody who lived in Las Vegas lived on the Strip. Like, we just rent rooms in the hotels upstairs. But yes, it's so much more dynamic than that, as you've heard multiple times on this call. So definitely a conversation worth having, Raphael, with others. Please, are there other questions? Don't be shy. Questions. Yes.
Hi. Well, just want to introduce myself. Eduardo Gonzalez from Phoenix. I'm part of the advisory board here in Global Chamber. A longtime member. Used to be the trade commissioner for Mexico, for Arizona and Nevada. We did quite a lot of trade fairs in Nevada. I was in charge of the Mexican pavilion for the automotive show, for the textile trade fair, and also for licensing and other trade shows. Currently, I'm a consultant. I help companies locate contract manufacturing options in Mexico for the US market. And we also help on the business development side. And I agree with Erica and the gentleman who was speaking. I like better the Las Vegas than nobody knows, or few people know, than you eat much better and more calmer, and you get a much sense of the city if you get out of the famous Strip. So happy to connect with anyone, and great event, Erica. Thank you.
Thank you, Eduardo. Thank you for sharing that. And you're absolutely right. So much to it, to the entire state. Yes. Do we have other questions, introductions you would like to make? We have a couple more minutes. Doug would like to wrap up. I'm sure there's an upcoming call, but anybody else? We have time for one more.
I would like to just say thank you to everyone for taking a bit of time out to go over this. I find it reassuring. So I'm based in London, but I'm going to be moving out to the US in probably a couple of months. So it's really reassuring to hear like the emphasis and focus on just being a good person and actually caring about someone opposed to just strictly business. So no, gives me some reassurance as a very non-salesy salesman. So thank you, everyone. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Stephen. And where are you thinking of moving to?
I'm going to be East Coast, and my wife's American, so I've got this job basically by default because I'm the only one with a green card now. So yeah, now I'm really looking forward to it. So
Fantastic.
hopefully a
Well, we
couple months.
welcome you. We welcome you,
Oh,
and
thank
please
you.
join more of Global Chamber Globinars.
Will do. Thank you.
Well, you're very welcome. I would like to sincerely thank everybody who has been here. Thank you for joining. Thank you for your time. We do appreciate it. Reach out to us, please connect together. And with that, Doug or Cesar, would one of you please close us out?
Sure. Happy to have Cesar say the final word, but I think you've given us some real great things to think about today in terms of how to network and maybe more holistically around Las Vegas. I hadn't really thought of it before, but I'm from New York. I'm Polish, German, American. I've been to 65 countries and 49 states and lived, all over. And I've been saying that Arizona is one of the best, if not the best state because of its friendliness and people from being different places and just openness to help. And I hadn't really thought about Las Vegas and Nevada that way, but there's certainly a lot of similarity with Arizona. And whether one is better than the other, I'm not sure, but I think those are two of the best states that there are in the US. Utah is kind of like that as well, but there's the LDS thing going on, and that creates other dynamics that, depending on if you're LDS or not, it changes things. But if you're from New York like me, your grandparents and your great grandparents must have had to work together for us to even have the concept of having a coffee together, let alone do business. And I'm over exaggerating for impact. The older places, Europe, by the way, is older. The ones that had adventure spirit went to Boston and New York, and the ones that weren't very adventurous stayed there. And so that whole mentality of like old thinking is what I call it, is still there. And it's not in so much anyway in Nevada. So thank you for bringing that up. Cesar, did you have any final comments? Oh,
thank you, Doug.
Cesar.
No, I'm here. I'm here. Sorry, I'm mute. Thank you, Doug, and thanks, Erica, for hosting this opportunity along with the group in Visionaries Vegas, and Tyler, it's been a pleasure meeting you and learn your story as well. So as Doug mentions, we are always here, always ready to connect you and help you with opportunities around the world. I see you, Mark. Good to see you, Mark. Long time, and always happy to support in any ways I can. Thanks.
We are so grateful. So grateful. Well, everyone, wishing you a wonderful evening, rest of your day, rest of your week, rest of your month, whatever it is. And we look forward to seeing you again very soon. Thank you so much for joining us. It's been a pleasure. It's been a pleasure. Take care.
Take care. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Great
Thank
call.
you. Thank you.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Much.
Bye.